Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai Kalaye Sundarakaram Kalaye Sundarakaram Sadaika Priyadarshanam Ajnananashakam Devam Sadgurum Muralidharam Murali Mandita Karakamalam Munijanamohanam Vyatyastapadam Vanamalaadarinam Prema Bhakta Mandala Nitya Kirtitam Shri Premika Varadam Ashraye Aham Shri Premika Varadam Ashraye Mata Ramo Matpita Ram Chandra hai Swami Ramo Matsakha Ramachandra hai Sarvaswam me Ramachandro Dayalu Sarvaswam me Ramachandro Dayalu Nanyam jane naiva jane na jane Nanyam jane naiva jane na jane Saukhyamani me jab jai Saukhyamani ne japa jalayinte saukhya manine japa jalayinte ఏమో ఎవరికి తెలుసునో ఇంతో ఏమో ఎవరికి తెలుసునో ఇంత సౌఖ్య మనీనే దాంత సీతా స్వంత కరుణ దాంత సీతా స్వంత కరుణ స్వాంత ప్రేమదు లగే తెలుసునుగా స్వాంత ప్రేమదు లగే తెలుసునుగా సౌఖ్య మనీనే స్వరరాగలయ సుధరస మందు వర రామ నామమనే కంఠశక రే మేషముజేసి భజియ మేషముజేసి భజియ శంకరునికి తెలుసును త్యాగరాజ వినోత సౌఖ్య మణి నే జప ఎంతో ఏమో ఎవరుకు తెలుసునో Tyagaraja Swami, as we all know, has poured his bhakti for Lord Shri Rama through his kirtans. His kirtans evoke so much of emotions and so much of bhava. And in this particular kirtan, Tyagaraja Swami says, Rama, who knows the profound bliss that one can experience by just chanting your name? He summarizes what Srimad Bhagavatam talks about. Bhagavan is Ananda Swarupa, Anandam. Something that is beyond happiness or joy. Happiness and joy can only be described by sensory organs, your senses, what you can sense, what you can feel, what you can experience. But that Anandam that is called Rama, Nama, or that Anandam that is Rama himself, that can only be understood by people who are devoted to you, Rama. Only those who have bhakti bhakti towards you can understand what that joy is. And who but Lord Shankara himself? And you know how he relishes that Ramanama. He uses all the components of music, Swara, Raga, Laya, all of these components, and has made the Ramanama into a beautiful sugar candy that he keeps in his mouth, and that melts little by little, but always melting into his tongue. That Paramashivan himself is holding on to that Ramanama like there is absolutely nothing more important to him than that. Which is why when Parvati Devi asks him, Bhagavan, what is that one way? What is that one way that Pamaras, not just Panditas, who can read the Vishnu Sahasranamam, not just them, everybody should be able to get that bliss or that Ananda. What is the way for them? What is that dharma that substitutes the supreme dharma of the Vishnu Sahasranama? So Bhagavan Shankara immediately replies, Shri Rama 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 Rameti Shri Rama 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 Shri Rama 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 Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane Rama Nama Varanane Rama Nama Varanane. Just three Ramanamas said together equal the Vishnu Sahasranama. In Ramcharitmanas, there is a story about how Bhagavan brings that Ramanama into his tongue. He says, first, the Ramayana surfaced in Vaikuntha. It first surfaced as 100 crore Ramayana, which had 100 crore shlokas. Bhagavan Shiva, who only wishes the welfare of the world, he was given the task of splitting this amongst humans, devas, and asuras. What he does is that 100 crores, he wanted to distribute it equally. So he divides them as 33 crores, 33 crores, 33 crores, with 1 crore remaining, which he further divided as 33 lakhs each. The 1 lakh that was remaining, he further broke down to 33,000 each, leaving 1,000, which he broke down to 333, 333, 333. At the end, he had 1 shloka. And even that, he split further. The shloka was set to a 32 syllable meter. So he split that as 10, 10, 10. And what remained were 2 syllables. And those 2 syllables he embraced. He took it into his heart and he kept it as that sugar candy that our Tyagaraja Swami mentions. He calls it that sugar candy, isn't it? The same comparison that Tulasidas makes in Ramcharitmanas, he calls the Ramanama Namamrita. In a shloka, he says, Brahmambodhi samudbhavam kalimala pradvamsam chavyayam Srimad Shambhu mukhendavare samshobhitam sarvada samsaramaya bheshajam sukhakaram Shri Janaki Jivanam Dhanyase Kritina Pibanti Satatam Shri Ramanamamritam Shri Ramanamamritam Shri Ramanamamritam Ramanamamritam. That Ramanamamritam, just like the Amrita originated out of churning the Kshirabdi, the Ramanama originated out of churning all the Shastras, the ocean of Shastras. And that Ramanama is what Shankara keeps in his mouth. That Ramanama, which is otherwise called the Taraka Mantra, Samsara Maya Bheshajam, it will help you cross over this samudra of samsara. And it is not just anything, it cannot even be compared to the other Amrita. You know why? Because the other, if you eat Amritam that has come from the Ksherabdi, your punya is said to reduce. But the Ramanamamrita, if you have that in your mouth, the more of the Ramanamamrita that you bring into your soul, the more you cleanse your body with Ramanamamrita, the more punya you accumulate. Which is why our Guru Maharaj says, Manulaga Saigalum, Vinulaga Saigalum, Ganapurudil Nalgidum, Keetanam Padire. Guru Maharaj says, it not cleanses your soul and gives you so much punya that punya is enough to take care of whatever you want in this world, ihaloke, paraloke cha. Wherever you want, here and there, it will give you all that you need. Tulasidas Maharaj, true to his words that he has mentioned in the Ramcharitmanas, every single thing, through and through, the Ramcharitmanas is talking about Ramanama, the Mahima of Ramanama, Guru Mahima and Satsang Mahima. But if we look at the Charitam of Tulasidas Maharaj independently, one might wonder, why did he have to undergo so many times where Rama, it seemed to a normal person that maybe he had to wait really long to get Rama himself, to get that. He yearned so much to see Rama, to get that Rama Darshanam. But it seems like he had to wait for really long for it. He himself says, in an instance where a couple of robbers come to rob the ashram, when they realize, as they were heading out, Rama and Lakshmana were standing at the doorsteps guarding the ashram. And at that time, they realized that probably they got afraid that probably Tulasidas Maharaj knows what is going on. And so he has appointed 2 guards. Rama and Lakshmana standing Ajanubahu with strong shoulders and carrying a kodanda in their hand. And they go running to Tulasidas Maharaj and offer whatever they had in their hands. And they said, we're really sorry, we don't want to steal. Tulasidas Maharaj says, what steal? What did you take? What is mine for you to take? Rama probably willed for you to have it, so you can take whatever you want. So these robbers say, Maharaj, are you really making a fun of us? If you knew, and that's why you posted those guards here and there. By the time we went from one exit to the other, the same people were standing there with the same kodanda. Maharaj, we don't want anything, Maharaj. So what? Standing there with the kodanda? And Tulasidas Maharaj falls on their feet. He falls on their feet and he says, you are so blessed. I waited my life. I waited so many years to get that Rama Darshanam. And Mahans, there's a beautiful quality that they have. What they only care about is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. They don't care what name they earn in the process. They don't care about anything else. The only thing that he wanted to tell all the people who watched and who were amazed at Tulasidas Maharaj falling at the feet of these robbers, he says, I depended on my own efforts to get this. I didn't depend on a guru or a satsanga. He says this to all these people. And that is why the Ramcharitmanas is filled with Guru Mahima and Satsanga Mahima as much as it is with Rama Mahima. Born to the pious family of Atmadeva yearned for a son. He yearned for a son not to fondle him or to play with him. He didn't want a son so that he could enjoy watching the son grow up. He wanted a son so that Rama Kainkarya would continue. The legacy of Rama Kainkarya, the legacy of Rama, celebrating Rama, saying the Rama katha would continue. And so he prayed to Lord Rama, I just want a child so that he can continue this Rama Bhakti that you have blessed into this family. And rightfully so, when his wife was doing Tulsi Puja in the morning, She delivered a child right next to the Tulsi plant. And because he was born right there, he was called Tulasidas. A child would normally cry, isn't it? But when the parents came to the child, this child's lips were moving. And when they observed closely, it seemed like he was chanting the Ramanama continuously. The unique child grew up to learn all the Vedas and the Shastras. He learned the Ramayana just like his father, and the whole family was celebrating Rama together. At the appropriate age, Tulsidas Maharaj was married to Ratnavali. And when Ratnavali got married and came into the house, Tulsidas' father says, he tells her, Atmadeva tells her, Atma Ramas tells her, don't think your father-in-law is poor. Don't think your father-in-law does not have any asset. I have the biggest asset, and I'm going to give that to you today. And he says, Rama, 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 Rama. Ratnavali, this is the biggest asset in the world. Here, take this, the Rama Nama. Take this asset and hold on to this asset, because mantra japisini keda beda soma shekhara tanna bhamini karujita Rama mantra japiso. That Rama Nama, you know who holds on to it? Sakshat Paramashivan himself. Don't waste your time saying that mantra and this mantra. This is all you need, the Rama mantra. Why? Do you know why? Sakala Vedagalike Saravinipa mantra Mukti Marga ke Ide Maha mantra Bhakuti Rasa ke Dari Bhakuti Rasa ke Dari Bhakuti Rasa ke Dari Bhakuti Rasa ke Dari Patte Ruba mantra Sukha Nidhi Purandar Vithalana Maha mantra Rama mantra Japiso. That Rama Nama is the Sara of all the Vedas. And this Rama Nama is what will take you, for what is enough, that's all that you need for this loka and that loka. And this will take you to mukti also. So this is all you need. This will instill bhakti. It will do everything for you. So this is all you need. Ratnavali also started chanting the Rama Nama. And together as a family, they were adoring Rama, worshipping Rama. And Rama was literally living in that family. Soon, Atmarama's wife passed away. And at this point, Atmarama told Tulsidas Ji, tells his son, Tulsidas Ji, I want to go. I want to go into sannyasam. I want to be in Rama Dhyana. That's all I want. It was not that Atmarama was doing anything but Rama Dhyana here, but yet still he wanted to go into reclusion. So Tulsidas took up what his father used to do. He used to tell Rama katha to the king. The king celebrated Tulsidas like anything, because the way Tulsidas Maharaj used to say katha, the king, when he's talking about, he would start talking about how Rama yearned for Sita. He would go and ask from one tree to another, Sita, Sita, Sita. Right then somebody would come. The soldier would come at the door and say, Maharaj. And there, from being in the transcendental world of Ramayana, he would have to come down to the princely affairs. He would have to take care of the kingdom. So this king was, and yet when he used to go there, he would still be thinking about that Ramayana, that Tulsidas, the Ramayana that Tulsidas ji used to tell. It would keep lingering in his head that he could not be able to do any work. So the king thought of an idea. He said, let me do this. Let me hand over my kingdom to the ministers. And I think I should go for a pilgrimage because I really want to enjoy this katha. And I will not go alone. I will go with a companion, the apt companion, who will keep telling me Rama Katha all day and night, uninterrupted. I will listen to Rama Katha. And so he proposes this plan to Tulasidas Maharaj. Tulasidas Maharaj is now skeptical because he tries his best to dissuade the plan, because back in the time, there was invasion by the foreign people, and the place was not safe. Women would be abducted, the houses would be plundered, a lot of damage would be caused, and he was very scared for Ratnavali. How would she be alone? He was very scared. So Tulsidas Maharaj tried his best to dissuade the whole plan. Maybe let's do it later, let's do it. But the king was very insistent, and finally Tulsidas Maharaj had to give in. With a very low heart, he comes to Ratnavali and tells her, see, Ratnavali, I have to go. Unfortunately, I tried my best, but I'm not able to dissuade this whole idea. So I have to go. Now, let me tell you something. Ground rules. Let me set some ground rules. You are going to stay at home as much as possible. No going out. In fact, actually, no going out. Not as much as possible. Whatever you need, I will buy for the house and keep it here. You're not to go out. People will come and say that this person needs help, that person needs help. Even if they say your family needs help, please don't step out of the house. Don't even listen to what they have to say. I will come back soon and we can go and help whoever is needed, but not now. That's the only way that my mind will be in peace. Seeing all of this, he went with the king for the pilgrimage. The day that he was to return was a very different day. The wind was blowing very hard. There was a storm brewing in the air, and the rains were lashing. And as evening crept in, Tulasidas reached closer to his house. He came to his house and knocked the door. Ratnavali, she didn't open the door. In a way, he was happy. Good, she's listening to my advice and she's not opening the door. Very good. So he knocks a little harder. The knock becomes pounds. Now he's pounding the door. And he says, Ratnavali, it's me. It's Tulasidas. I have come. Open the door. But yet nobody opened the door. Now he started getting a little worried. So he started banging the door. And as he was banging, there was a metallic sound that he was getting. There was a metallic sound. Blang, 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 blang. And when he looked down, his heart sank. He sat plopped there. What he saw was a lock right in front of his house. Where did Ratnavali go? I told her not to leave the house. Where did she go? And as he was talking in that frustration, a few neighbors came out of the house and asked, what happened? What happened? Where is Ratnavali? Do you know where she is? She was here today morning. She was here right here today morning. And as the sound grew, more people started coming out and finding out what was happening. And one of them said, somebody came from her house and said that her father is not well. So I think he said he was her brother. And so she went with him to her village. I knew. Now I somehow have to go to her village and find out. I have to see where she is. And so he rushes out. He rushes not knowing what to do, how to get there. But he just knows that he had to get to Ratnavali somehow. And as he was going, the storm became stronger. The winds were blowing really hard. There was a river that had to be crossed. And it was almost impossible. The tides were so strong, the current was so strong that no boatman was ready to go on the river. Even that one boatman who was going was trying to go back home safely. And as he was going, our Tulsidas Maharaj tries to stop him. But he says, no, Swami. Do you know who I am? Swami, I don't mind whoever you are. I can even take you in the middle of a night on another day. Today I have to get back to my family. And he didn't talk much. He went away. Tulsidas Maharaj looked around. And as it was getting dark, he could hardly see. So he saw something moving on the water and he tried to bring it to the bay. And he brought it, sat on it. He thought it looked like a log. He sat on it and waded and somehow fought the current and somehow managed to reach the other side. And then when he reached there, their house was almost at the banks of the river. He reached there and went and knocked on the door. Nobody opened the door. Tulsidas Maharaj was getting more and more anxious by the minute. He noticed that there was a tree whose branches were almost on top of the roof of the house. He said, maybe I should try climbing this tree. And so he climbed that slippery tree. It was slipping, but yet somehow he held on and he climbed up to the branch and jumped onto the roof holding a vine. And when he jumped onto the roof, they heard the sound of footsteps on the roof. And the people in the house got alerted. They thought it was a robber. And so they came out with sticks and sickles and with a lamp to see what was going on. And when Tulsidas Maharaj heard that sound, he came down holding that same vine. He came down, not realizing that he had pulled the vine down along with him. And when he came there, Ratnavali was standing there. He saw her and his mind came so much to ease just seeing that she was fine. But Ratnavali was asking, Swami, you're already back? Swami, how come? How did you come? Look at the storm. Look how, and why are you holding a snake in your hand? That was when Tulsidas Maharaj, what he thought was a vine, he noticed that was actually a snake. And he just threw it down. And when he threw it down, he noticed that what he came on was not a log. It was a dead body. He was shocked. But at the same time, Ratnavali was talking to him and asking him, why did you come? Why did you come in the middle of the night? I just leave everything. I just wanted to see that you were fine. I told you not to come. I told you not to leave the house. Why did you come? Why he was still that frustration was still there in his voice. So she looks at him and she shakes her head and she says, Maam sapindamimam matva bhogyame vanishantare Maam sapindamimam matva bhogyame vanishantare Vismritya ramakarunyam Evamatragatosi Kim maya kim sutair grihe kim danena cha bandhubihi santyajya vishaya saktim kuru raghava chintanam santyajya vishaya saktim kuru raghava chintanam kuru raghava chintanam. Swami, why, Swami? Did you come all the way enduring the storm to see me? Why? Why? What is there in this? This is just a body. It is mamsa pindam. It's just a body made of flesh and blood. What is there in this? And why do you think that Ramanama that your father gave me, that's what I've been holding on to? Won't that take care of me? Do you have to come in the middle of the storm? What about all the katha that you say? Shouldn't that remind you that Rama is there for me? Rama is there for me. Rama is there for you. Rama is there for all of us. Why did you have to come in the middle of the storm? Why? What is there? All these relations, they're all there today. They're all there tomorrow. But what is there in the entire thing is only you surrender yourself. Vismritya. Forget everything else. Forget all these materialistic things around you. Santyajya vishaya saktim. And do only one thing, Kuru Raghava Chintanam. Just think of that Lord Rama, isn't it? Won't that give your mind peace? What Ratnavali meant was to hope to calm her husband in the process. But for Mans, a small trigger, that is all that is required, isn't it? And there, that was the trigger. Those words kept clanging in Tulsidas Maharaj's ears. It kept ringing on and on and on in his ears. He could not get past that one line that she said, Santyajya vishaya saktim kuru raghava chintanam. Santyajya vishaya saktim kuru raghava chintanam. Kuru raghava chintanam, kuru raghava chintanam. He left everything. Vairagyam came. He left everything and headed straight in search of Lord Sri Rama. All he wanted to do was to see that Bhagavan, that Lord Sri Rama. He just wanted darshana of Bhagavan. And he reached Chitrakuta. Now, after he reached Chitrakuta, Tulasidas Maharaj sat down and did Akhanda Rama Bhajana. Rama 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 Rama. He reached Chitrakuta. He would do Akhanda Rama Smarana. Akhanda Rama Smarana. Continuously he was chanting the Ramanama. In the life of Saint Tyagaraja, when his father was on his deathbed, as he was dying, he gives a Tulsi Mala that was there in his neck, and he gives it to Tyagaraja Swami and says, say the Ramanama. And when you complete 96 crore Ramanamas, that Rama will come and stand before you. Being his father's dying wish, Tyagaraja Swami just kept chanting the Ramanama. Along with his Sankirtana, the Ramanama was there all throughout his life. He kept chanting. Tyagaraja Swami was not counting, but Bhagavan was counting, because he was so anxious to see that Bhakta who's doing that kind of tapas. Rama couldn't control, no? So he wanted to come and see that Bhakta. And correctly, as the ticker ended 96 crore Ramanamas, right at the door of Tyagaraja Swami, standing right there was Balakana Kamaya Chela Sujana Paribala Shri Ramalola Virta Shara Jala Shubhata Karunalavala Gananila Novya Vanamalika Baranayelani Daya Radu, resplendent like 1,000 suns. Lord Sri Rama was standing right in front of Tyagaraja Swami. In the same way, with this Akhanda Nama Bhajana that our Tulasidas Maharaj was doing, Rama couldn't control himself. He wanted to come and see that Bhakta. He wanted to see that Bhakta. So he comes. Once when Tulasidas Maharaj was sitting, or was doing Anushtana on the banks of Sarayu Nadi, two small boys were playing. Two small boys were playing right beside. Tulasidas Maharaj looked at them as they were splashing water on each other. A little bit was falling on him, and that was disturbing Tulasidas Maharaj. So he looks at those boys and says, can you please move aside and do your, you can play on the side. I just want to finish my Anushtana and go, because I have to go and continue my Ramanama. So out of the two boys, one of them who looked like the smaller one, he says, Tata, Mama, this is not only for you. Even we can play here. So the elder boy, the other boy who looked a little elder, he said, it's okay, Pa. Let's go that side. No, why? We are just playing. We can play anywhere. And then he says, Anna, see, he has Chandan. Maybe he can give us tilak. So he says, Mama, can you please give us a little bit tilak? Just want to wear a little tilak. Okay, I will give you. But will you go after that? Yes, we will go. So our Tulsidas Maharaj came outside and he was rubbing the sandalwood to make some paste. As he was rubbing it, he was continuously chanting the Ramanama, saying, Rama, 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 Rama. Right then, there was a bird that came and sat on top of the tree that was right on top of Tulsidas's head. And that bird was tweeting in a divine voice, Chitrakoot ke ghat par bahi santan ki bheed. Chitrakoot ke ghat par bahi santan bheed. Tulasidas chandan ghise. Tulasidas? Did they say my name? So Tulasidas, as he was chanting the Ramanama, Tulasidas, who's talking to me? He looked around and he didn't see anybody. The only thing he saw was there was a bird sitting right on top of his head. But as he looked at that bird continued to say, Tulasidas chandan ghise, tilak de raghubir. Tulasidas chandan ghise, tilak de raghubir. Lord Sri Rama. And when he turned back, is that Lord Sri Rama? He turned back, but unfortunately, the two boys who were standing there were not there. Rama only wanted to see our Tulasidas Maharaj, right? It was not yet time for Tulasidas Maharaj to get that darshan. Why? We will see. We will see as the next episode in Tulsidas Maharaj's life unfolds. Feeling miserable, Tulsidas Maharaj, he felt like he wanted that Rama Darshana, but he missed it. He always had that lingering. So the yearning became even more. That yearning for Rama became deeper and deeper. So he came to Kashi. And when he came to Kashi, all he was doing is Ramanama, just like he was reading the Valmiki Ramayana. And the more he read the Valmiki Ramayana, in his mind, shlokas started emerging. These shlokas started coming from within, and these shlokas seemed like Ramayana shlokas. They were describing the entire Ramayana, but in different words. Tulsidas Maharaj tried to brush it aside, thinking, no, it's just some kind of thoughts. But no, they kept coming back. They kept coming back to him. And because he couldn't deny it anymore, he started penning them down. So he took a notebook and started writing all these shlokas, whatever came to us. The first day he wrote down, and then he retired to bed. They don't really sleep, right? They just have that yoga nidra where they just lie down and these thoughts are continuously coming. It's only physical rest at that point. So then the next day morning he gets up and then takes the book, does Rama Dhyana, and whatever is coming into his mind, he wants to pen down again. So he takes the book and he looks. All that he thought he wrote the previous day was not there. The book was fine. It was right at the place that he had kept it. The pages were intact. But all that he had written was missing. So he wondered to himself, maybe I didn't write. Maybe, I just wanted to write, but probably I didn't write. So he strained his memory, and whatever was coming from the previous day, whatever he remembered, he penned down. He wrote the previous day shlokas, and he wrote all the shlokas that were coming into his mind today. And then he put the book aside at the end of the day and went to bed. The third day, he comes back. He lights the lamp, does Rama Dhyana, and comes and picks up that book. It was exactly at the place where he had kept it. He takes it and he flips the pages because it looked exactly like it was untouched. There was nothing wrong. But the same thing, whatever he had written in the last 2 days, but this time he was sure he wrote. But it was so weird that he couldn't understand what was going on. And he really wanted to know why. Why is it that whatever I'm writing is going away? What's going on? So he waited that day night. He didn't go back to sleep. He waited to see because he wanted to see what was going on. And as the night fell, a Jyoti appeared before him, and there was the sudden vision that he got. Bhasmang bhuj trishul urmela se nagmal. Bhasmang bhuj trishul urmela se nagmal. Girija ang dhare Tribhuvan Janadasi Vishweshwar Darshan Kar Chalman Toma Kashi. Where we have to go to Kashi to see that Vishweshwara, that same Kashi Vishwanatha was standing in front of Tulsidas Maharaj, resplendent in glory. He was standing with his trishul and the necklace that was nothing but a snake. And that Bhagavan who carries Ganga on his head and a crescent moon on the other side was standing there smiling at Tulsidas Maharaj. Tulsidas Maharaj prostrated before him and woke up and asked him, Vishweshwara, Parameshwara, am I doing something wrong? Should I not be writing these shlokas? Am I doing a mistake by writing these shlokas? Why do you come and erase them? That same smile on his face, reassuring him, Bhagavan Shankara looks at Tulsidas and says, no, I do want you to write. But that bliss that I am enjoying, the bliss that I enjoy by Ramayana, by listening to Ramayana, by reading Ramayana, I want the whole world to enjoy. I want everybody to enjoy, not just people who know Sanskrit. So you should write the Ramayana with the same bhava that you're writing today. You write the Ramayana, but in a language that everybody can understand, in a language that everybody speaks, in a language that is easily accessible to common man, so that everybody can enjoy Ramayana. And hence, with the blessings of Lord Shankara himself, Tulasidas Maharaj begins to write the Ramcharitmanas. He used to write, and as he used to write, he used to go into bhava, and people would come and accumulate around him. And then they would want to listen to what his thoughts are. And he would share his thoughts. Slowly, there was a small satsanga that started growing. He used to say the Rama katha to everybody. Everybody would listen to the Rama katha and enjoy the bliss of Ramayana as told by Tulsidas Maharaj. He was not bound by 9 days. For him, Ramayana was not a 9-day affair. It used to go on and on and on. As he used to get into the bhava, the Ramayana would keep going on with no end. One day when Tulsidas Maharaj was sitting and doing his Anushtana, he was sprinkling water as part of the Anushtana, but a little water splashed on a tree, and from that tree emerged a creature who prayed and bowed before Tulsidas Maharaj and said, Swami, oh, hello, where are you? Where did you come from? Were you hiding behind the tree? No, Swami, I'm a Brahma Rakshas. I was in the tree. I was cursed, and so I was in the tree. And you have liberated me. So I want to do whatever you want, I want to do for you. You tell me, you ask me what riches you want, what treasure you want. I can point you to a treasure. I can do anything. You tell me what you want. Tulsidas Maharaj says, if I wanted riches or treasures, why would I be here? I was with the king. I didn't need all of this. I don't need all of this. I don't need anything. If you really want to help me, if you really want to do something for me, show me Rama. Rama. Give me Rama Darshana. That is all I want. Swami, if I had that ability, why would I be stuck in a tree? I don't have that ability. But I know somebody who can give you that Rama Darshana. And he comes every day to listen to your katha. Every day. Who? Hanumanji. Hanumanji? You must be joking. Where? Why will Hanumanji come to listen to my katha? No. Yes, Swami. I'm telling you. I know it is Hanumanji. How do you say so? How do you say so with so much surety? In your Hanuman Chalisa, you say, right? Bhoot pisach nikat nahi aave, Mahabir jab naam sunave. Mahabir jab naam sunave, Bhoot pisach nikat nahi aave. You say, right? Bhoot pisach cannot come anywhere nearby. When we listen to your katha, Swami, we feel like wanting to come closer and closer and enjoy it. But then, as we come closer, suddenly our body starts burning because we're not able to take it. There is that Hanumanji, when he comes and sits there, our body starts burning. That is how I know for sure that is Hanuman. Oh, if it is Hanuman, then I will definitely get Rama Darshana. Tulsidas Maharaj was now eager to do the next katha. The next day, when he sat down to do the katha, there were many people with grey hair. So he had to look to carefully see who is the person who was Hanuman. He observed everybody's face. Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? But then, farther in the corner, he noticed a person whose lips were continuously moving. His lips were continuously muttering the Rama Nama. And every time there was an emotional moment, his eyes would tear up. And when there was a moment of joy, his face would cheer up. And he would say, Ram, 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 Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. Like our Guru Maharaj says, Rama Nama Kujantam, Rajadi Rajam, Rama Nama Kujantam, Rajadi Rajam, Bhaja Hanumantam, Japa Hanumantam, Bhaja Hanumantam, Japa Hanumantam. That's the only indication that he is there. He will keep on chanting the Rama Nama, isn't it? He knows. That is all that he will do. He is always chanting the Rama Nama. That is one of his trademarks. That Hanuman. Bhaja Hanumantam, Japa Hanumantam. Continuously, Tulsidas Maharaj was looking at his face with all the hope, with all that hope that he would get Rama Darshanam soon. He looked at him with those eyes. And the minute the katha was over, he couldn't wait for the katha to be over. And the minute the katha was over, before he knew, the old man started walking very fast, very brisk. So he had to run literally to catch up with him. He caught up with him and fell on his feet. He fell on his feet and said, Swami, 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 Anjaneya Swami. Anjaneya Swami ki jai. Yarappa, who is Anjaneya Swami? You? I know it's you. I know it's you. I know it is you. No. I am just a passerby. I like listening to your story. You say the story very well. And I myself wanted to come and tell you that your story is very good. Very good. I like listening. I keep coming. I will come every day to listen to your story. Swami, please don't toy with me. Please. The last time I got Rama Darshana, but I didn't know that was Bhagavan himself. Now you are that opportunity for me to get Rama Darshana. Only with your grace I will get that Rama Darshana. Please don't deny me that Sukham. How can I give you Rama Darshana? Rama is not somebody who listens to me. He is a person of his own free will. You should be knowing that more of all. No, Swami. You are again toying with me. I know you can do it. I fall on your feet. I plead with you. I beg with you. Please, please, please give me Rama Darshana. Okay, I will try to do my best. Swami, one small request, Swami. Now what? What do you want? Swami, the last time I missed him. This time, I don't want to miss him. I want him to come. And I don't want him to just come in my dreams or just come by and go. I want him to come like he came to Shabari. Like he came to Shabari, he sat down with her. He came inside her house. He spent time with her. Isn't it? I want him to come like that. I want him to come in, sir. I want him to come to my house and do all of that because I want to offer everything that I have to him. Even this Ramcharitmanas, I want to offer to him, Swami. Okay. And like our Guru Maharaj says, Kamadirahitam, Kamita Faladam, Kamita Faladam, Kamita Faladam. For a Rama Bhakta, Hanumanji is right there. That is the way he does Rama Kaikarya. Even today he does Rama Kaikarya for a Rama Bhakta by being there for that Bhakta and Kamita Faladam, giving them whatever they want. And so he comes back with the good news. Rama will come on so-and-so day. On that particular day, Tulasidas Maharaj was so excited. He was waiting. He cleaned up his house. He put Mavla Tornam right in front of his house. He put a rangoli. Whatever he knew, he put a rangoli. He cleaned up the courtyard. He cleaned up inside the house and lit up the fire and made some prasadam for Rama, for offering to Rama. He lit up the lamp and he kept the Ramcharitmanas ready. He wanted to read the Ramcharitmanas to Bhagavan. And he sat down waiting for Rama to come. Sat down, chanting Rama, 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 Rama. Morning became evening, evening became, as evening became twilight. Slowly, the night was falling. And before he knew, it was already night. Now Tulasidas Maharaj was getting anxious. Rama didn't come. Rama didn't come. But Hanumanji has said, so he will definitely come. He will come. He will definitely come. Soon, there was a sound of hoofs outside the house. Horses. They were running fast. And he realized that the sound was getting louder and louder. So he figured that the horses were probably headed in his direction. And then, as the sound grew louder, he felt like it was right outside his house. The sound of the horses was so strong and it came and stopped right outside his house. And then there was a pounding at the door. Open up, open up. Tulasidas Maharaj got scared. Like I said earlier, these invaders used to come, isn't it? So he thought probably it is them. And he quickly go and hid behind something. He hid behind a wall. He turned off the light and stayed still quietly as if there was nobody. They pounded on the door for a long time. Open up, open up. But Tulasidas Maharaj was too scared. So he didn't go. He didn't want to step out and check who it was. He just stayed there. He stayed put. They pounded for some time. And then after some time, they mounted on the horses and slowly the horse sound started going off and becoming more and more feeble. And after some time, when he felt like it was safe, he came out to look what had happened. But he was still wondering, where is Rama? Rama didn't come. But Hanumanji told me he would come. He was waiting to ask Hanumanji. And when he met Hanumanji, even before he could ask, Hanumanji told him, Rama came, but you didn't open the door. Rama came? Rama didn't come. Only those, you thought it was them, Pa. That was Rama. Not only that he came with his full family. He came with his entire army also, and they came and they knocked at the door, but you did not open the door. Swami, you're toying with me, aren't you? Does Rama need me to open the door for him to come? You said you wanted him to come like he came to Shabari. How did he come to Shabari? He inquired about Shabari. Where is Shabari? Where is Shabari? Where is Shabari? He came looking for Shabari. Isn't it? Same way he came looking for you. You wanted him to come into the house properly, isn't it? So properly he was waiting for you to open the door. But Tulasidas Maharaj knew that what Anjaneya Swami was saying was only an excuse. But the real reason was he was probably not eligible enough. For us to listen to that, it makes our heart weak, isn't it? Because how, like a person like Tulasidas Maharaj with that kind of tapas, if he cannot get Rama Darshan, where, who can ever get Rama Darshan, isn't it? But the truth is, when Bhagavan plays, when Bhagavan does these leelas with these Mahatmas, he knows that they have that ability to take it. They have that bhakti that it will never, that bhakti that will never ever reduce despite any leela, because that he knows he is trying to teach people like us, mandaha, sumandamataya, mandabhagya, as described in Bhagavatam. We are people like that. For people like us, he is trying to teach very important lessons. And the biggest lesson he is trying to say here is that of Guru Mahima. This entire episode happened in Tulasidas Maharaj's life for two reasons. The first reason is to bring that Guru and Shishya together. Like our Guru Maharaj says, Guru Kripayillamal Hari Kripayillai, Hari Kripayillamal Muktiyum Illai. And like Srimad Bhagavatam says, that is the only way. The Guru is the only bridge between you and Bhagavan. And like Srimad Bhagavatam says, Chintamanir Loka Sugam Suradruhu Swarga Sampadam Prayachati Guruhu Prito Vaikuntham Yogi Durlabam Prayachati Guruhu Prito Vaikuntham Yogi Durlabam. Guruhu Prito. As long as the Guru is there, he has accepted you. What goes in your mind doesn't matter. That Vaikuntha is rest assured. That Vaikuntha, that Jnanis and Yogis aim for, they yearn for. Only somebody who is for whatever reason, liked by the Guru. For whatever reason, the Guru has taken a liking for him. Vaikuntha is there for that person. Just to show that Guru-Shishya relationship, it's to establish that this episode. For us, when we look at it, oh, he missed Rama Darshana. That is just a leela. That is just an excuse. But it is for that relationship, the Guru-Shishya relationship. The second thing is Ramachandra Prabhu. Everywhere we can see, he is Sharanagata Vatsalan. Anybody who comes and does Sharanagati to him, he will accept and embrace. That is a very unique quality of a Rama Bhakta. Bhakti has 4 pillars: Nama, Guru, Satsanga, Katha, Shravana. All these 4 things are like jewels for every person. And those jewels, when adorned, will slowly give that bhakti in his heart. But for a Rama Bhakta, there is a crown that he wears. And that crown is called Sharanagati. All said and done, for a moment, at least for a moment, Tulasidas Maharaj thought that the person on the door could be somebody other than Rama, isn't it? So that Purna Sharanagati was not yet there. And the next Leela that unfolds in his life is where Bhagavan crowns him with that Sharanagati and owns him. His Ramcharitmanas spread everywhere. And along with that, our Tulasidas Maharaj also traveled places. And he came to Vrindavan. When he came to Vrindavan, that Vrindavan which was touched by Lord Shri Krishna, Every corner of Vrindavan was touched by Lord Shri Krishna, by his feet. Every single grain of sand in Vrindavan has been touched by Lord Shri Krishna. That Vrindavan, which is fondled by Yamuna, that Yamuna who would wait to see Bhagavan, she would forget to flow. She would wait for Bhagavan to come and touch her with his feet. She would forget to flow into the Sagara. She would wait there. That Vrindavan, which is adorned by beautiful trees and plants and beautiful flowers, that Vrindavan, which is loved by both bhaktas as well as yogis, that Vrindavan, which is nothing short of Bhuloka Vaikuntha. When Tulasidas Maharaj came to Vrindavan, he saw everybody, Jai Shri Radha Krishna, Jai Shri Radha Krishna, Jai Shri Radha Krishna, Jai Jai Bol. When they used to say Jai Shri Radha Krishna, he would say Jai Siyaram, Ekanta Bhakti, Jai Siyaram, Ekanta Bhakti. He would not even say Radha Krishna in his mouth, he would only say Siyaram. When they used to chant the Krishna Nama, Tulasidas Maharaj used to only chant the Ramanama. He would sit under the tree and chant the Ramanama. They would read the Bhagavatam. Tulasidas Maharaj would sit and read the Ramayana. So there was this one day when Tulasidas Maharaj was sitting under a tree, a Vatavriksha. He sat down and started reading Tapaswadhyaya Niratam Tapasvi Vagvidamvaram. And he closed his eyes and meditated upon that beautiful form of Lord Sri Rama. The Jai Sitaram, Jai Sitaram. And he closed his eyes and started doing the Ramadhyana. And as he closed his eyes, he saw Tulasi Haragala Kanse Pitambar Avade Nirantara Teji Rupa Makara Kundala Talapati Shavani Kanthe Kaustubhamani. He saw Bhagavan wearing the Pitambara. He saw Bhagavan wearing these beautiful Makara Kundalas. And he was wearing Tulsi Mala on his neck. But then he noticed something. Kaustubhamani. Kaustubhamani is usually adorned by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. But that form, Sundara Tedana, was beautiful. Ubhe Vitevari. He closed his eyes and meditated deeper. He wanted to take a closer look at that form. He was looking, no, this is definitely Lord Sri Rama. And he was closing his eyes. But suddenly, the body was not as green. It was more on the blue side. And he noticed that the Kodanda was not there in Bhagavan's hand. Instead, he was carrying a flute in his hand. And then, before he knew, that form of Bhagavan was getting so deep into his mind that he couldn't open his eyes. But he forced himself open and said, what is this? There is some mistake. How come I'm seeing the form of Lord Sri Krishna here? No. It's all this Vrindavan. All these people are continuously saying Jai Shri, Jai Shri, Jai Shri Radha Krishna. That is what is bothering me. That is what is affecting me. And so he closed his eyes and tried to meditate. I have to focus, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. But still that same form was coming inside his eyes. He tried to open his eyes. That same Bhagavan is standing in front of him. Nabarha Pitam Natavara Vapuhu. Bhagavan is standing right in front. Venu Gopalan, he is standing with Radhamai right next to him. Both of them standing and smiling at him. He tried to close his eyes. No, I am imagining all this. Tried to close his eyes to not see that Bhagavan who's standing in front. But when he closed his eyes, he saw the same Bhagavan inside his eyes. He didn't know whether to leave his eyes open or whether to keep it closed. That same Bhagavan was everywhere. And now he knew he had to just face Bhagavan. He knew that it was no imagination. And so he asks him, Kim michasi kripa sindho parirabdhum nihadarat saundaryadapi karunyat swarasyat prema cheshtitat jara bhavena me chittam hantamohayasi prabho balyat pravriti samriddha dridhanishta mama achuta hridaye sampravishtosi manchayan mamiha prabhu. Bhagavan, what do you want? Why are you attracting me like this? Why are you doing this to me? Don't you know that I have been a Rama Bhakta right from my childhood? I've had that Ekanta Bhakti towards Rama. Don't you know that? Why are you doing this? You know, this is like unnecessarily you're making a devout, like a pativrita. You're challenging a pativrita by trying to break her pativritya dharma. What you're trying to do is not nice, Bhagavan. So Hanta Mohayasi, stop attracting me. Stop attracting me. Come on. Just don't do this anymore, please. As always, Bhagavan, with that smile on his face and the naughty twinkle in his eyes, he looks at our Tulsidas Maharaj and smiles and says, Pativrata paragraham nagachet. Pativrata paragraham nagachet. Vaset tatha puman samanyam tatrapi na pashyet. Vadet tatha mamedam vanamagatya vasantatrapi vaishnava. Do you know who a pativrata is? Do you know who a pativrata is? A pativrata is somebody who does not go to another man's house, let alone go. There is no question of going and staying there. You've been staying here for so many days. See, if you have come to my house, everybody knows that the air in Brindavan is mine. Every grain in Brindavan, I live in it. So you have come to my house, you're sitting here and thinking about me, you're looking at me, you're talking to me, you're staying in my house and you're staying for a long time. It's not like you've come and gone and you are telling me that you are pativrata. See, if I came to Ayodhya or I came to Chitrakuta and you say this, you are legitimate in asking this request. But you've come to my house. It's impossible to win an argument with Bhagavan Shri Krishna, isn't it? After all, he is the one who single-handedly won the Mahabharata Yuddha for the Pancha Pandavas. He single-handedly won that Yuddha with all his strategizing and all his negotiation. He won that Yuddha for them. Can you ever win an argument with Bhagavan? Can you ever talk logic with Bhagavan? And just like that Bhagavad Darshana, it gives you all the jnana you want. It gives you all the qualities that you were lacking and that you needed at that point in time. And at that moment, that broke that garvam that Tulsidas Maharaj had, that pride that he carried in his head. And the next minute, he did Sharanagati to Bhagavan and said, Rama Bhakta Graganyo Ahamiti Smritvasmi Garvitah Kshamasva Karuna Sindho Karuna Sindho Karuna Sindho Kshamasva Kripaya Pahi Me Vritam Janami Nirmalam Chittam Tvayaiva Pahatam Prabho Tathapi Vacham Kayancha Tyaja Ramaya Keshava Anushocamitam Snitva Dharmatmancha Suvritam Ekanta Nishtaya Nityam Balyat Pravriti Pujitam Kripa Sindho Krishna Kripa Sindho. I realized that I had this pride that I was a Rama Bhakta. I realized that is not befitting of a Rama Bhakta. But you are Karuna Sindho. Nirmalam Tava Hridayam. Your heart is so pure. Your heart is so pure. Don't you know that my Ekanta Bhakti since my childhood has been there towards only that Ramachandra Prabhu. And like Bali Chakravarti surrendered to Bhagavan, asking him to make his truth, make his words true. Here, Tulsidas Maharaj surrenders to Bhagavan, saying, Bhagavan, Kripa Sindho, make my bhakti true. Make my words true. All the words that I have said, all the words that I have spoke about my Rama Bhakti, please make it true, Bhagavan. I surrender before you. And he fell at Bhagavan's feet. And when he looked up, Bhagavan, the same Venugopalan was standing there. Now, without the flute in his hand, he was holding the Kodanda. And Radhamai, who was standing right beside, became Sita Mai. And Karuna Sindho, his eyes were emitting that compassion. His eyes were emitting that Karuna. And he was standing, Pattabhisheka Dampati were standing right in front of his eyes, and poured from Tulasidas Maharaj's lips this kirtan. Ghanashama Kama Aneka Chabi Lokabhirama Manoharam Janaka Vasana Kishora Murti Puri Guna Karunakaram Gopala Gokula Vallabhi Priya Gopa Gosuta Vallabham. Hey Ghanashama, hey Lokabhirama, are the two of you different? And with that Sharanagati, that one last thing in Tulasidas Charitam, he gives us, Bhagavan shows us that when he decides to take you, when he decides to grace you, everything, he gives it to you and he graces you. How it works is just like a seed. You know, when you plant a seed, what it needs is water. It needs soil. It needs the sun, and it needs time. It needs time for that seed to become a plant. And as it becomes a plant, there may be many a wind or many a storm. There may be many a rain, but still that plant withstands it. And over time, what comes are beautiful, fragrant flowers. In the same way, when Bhagavan decides to sow the seeds of bhakti in your heart, everything he takes care. He pours the water of Nama in your heart. He gives you the satsanga, the soil that grounds you, that keeps you together, the satsanga. He gives you the son named Gurunathar. And above all, that time, that is the time that you spend in that satsanga. And with all of this katha he gives you all of that. The time is katha and satsanga. And then that the plant in your heart slowly grows. Many a storm come. In terms of the leelas that he plays many leelas in our life, which look like obstacles. But those are all for that one thing to happen, that flower of bhakti to bloom in our hearts, so that he can come and sit in that flower and own us. So with this, I pray at the holy feet of Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Premika Varada Thakurji and our Guru Maharaj to bless us with an iota of the bhakti that these Mahans have shown us, so that we can do more Guru Kainkarya and Bhagavat Kainkarya. Gopika Jivana Smaranam Govinda Govinda Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Lakshmi Aishwaryaji. It was a beautiful katha of Tulasidas with the wonderful kirtans and very gripping story. Thanks for narrating that. Our pranams to you. Radhe Radhe to all devotees. We will meet again tomorrow in Satsang.